What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Loud Bostonian. Today, I'm going to be doing my review of the Netflix animated series Castlevania. Castlevania is a video game adaptation from the Capcom video game series. The series first debuted on the Nintendo Entertainment System with the game Castlevania. It had spurned many sequels since then, such as Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, Super Castlevania for SNES, and then several different versions that appeared on multiple platforms of PlayStation, actually. I'm a huge fan of the Castlevania series. The Simon's Quest and Dracula's Curse were literally games that I played every single day when I wasn't playing Mega Man or Mario on my Nintendo system. So I'm a huge fan of this. So when I heard this adaptation was happening, I couldn't wait. So last year, they released the first 4 episodes. I believe it's 4. It might have been 3. I think it was 4, though. First 4 episodes of the first season, which is really just a prequel to build up the story of what the second season was going to be. They just released the second season about a week ago, and I binged the whole thing in literally 24 hours. I loved it. This is, in my opinion, the best video game adaptation that has ever been done in any medium, TV or movies. Typically, they have bad track records of adapting video games to movies or to TV. So this was a breath of fresh air. It was a clear vision. It had incredible character development, and it had great dialogue, and the action was superb. All right, this style of anime, I really appreciate. A lot of the times in animes now, they're going with these odd. For example, the Netflix Godzilla movies that they keep releasing is the worst anime look I've ever seen in my life. I can't stand that style of animation. So I'm a much bigger fan of, say, like a Dragon Ball Z, Bleach, Naruto style anime, and this fits right in with that. It's like an updated graphics version of that, kind of like the modern Dragon Ball Super or the 2 movies that came out, Battle of the Gods and F or whatever the hell it's called, the Frieza movie. So it's similar to those with very, very high-end animations in that same style. So I really appreciate that style of anime. So when this Castlevania series came out looking like this, I was on board, no matter what the story was. It just so happens that the writers and the directors came out with a fantastic story as well. So anybody who doesn't know anything about the backstory of Castlevania, it is basically a story of a family called the Belmonts, who throughout history have constantly risen to the challenge of fighting Dracula and monsters alike. Now, in every video game adaptation, or every video game version of Castlevania, Dracula always comes back from the dead. That's kind of just the shtick. And then a new generation of Belmont steps up to fight him. This story is very similar. There's a Belmont character named Trevor Belmont, very likable guy. The first time you see him, he's just, in the first season, he's literally just a drunk fool, and he's losing fights to regular guys. So when he has to step up and fight supernatural creatures, you're like, how's this guy going to do it? But he steps up to the challenge. There are 3 hero characters in the show. There is Trevor Belmont. There is a magician, but she's not a magician. She's kind of like a wizard, but she's like a priestess wizard named Sypha. And there is Dracula's son, Alucard. Alucard, which is Dracula spelled backwards, so clever. He shows up in multiple versions of the video game franchise. He's always a hero-ish character, never really a bad guy. So naturally, he's not a bad guy in this either. And then the show does a great job of jumping between the hero storyline and what's going on with Dracula and his minions. It's actually a really good story, guys, because Dracula is not portrayed as he's a villain, but you understand why he's a villain. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything story-wise because I think it's very good, except for this one jump-off point. The story is based around Dracula has a human wife who's Alucard's mother. Alucard's half vampire, half human, and she just is a nice woman, wants to learn about sciences and stuff like that Dracula has knowledge of through his millennia of living, that modern humans, it's set in the dark ages, but modern humans at that time have forgotten. So he brings her in, teaches her, falls in love with her. It's a classic Dracula story of him having love taken from him. So the villagers, or the priests of that area, take her out, think she's a witch, and burn her alive. This sets Dracula off on a fucking rage. He murders all the people that basically had a hand in doing this to his wife, and even further wants to exterminate all of humanity. That's the jump off point for the show. And the first season, like I said, it's 4 episodes just to give you that sort of backstory and set you up for what the task of the second season is. Second season hits the ground running. It is action packed. There are cool characters that come in. Dracula's War Council is unbelievable. They're basically all these vampires that are... There's really only 2 that have major speaking roles, but they really have their own agendas and their own flushed out character arcs. And then there are a few humans in there that are Forge Masters, basically wizards who can bring corpses back from the dead and turn them into ghouls or whatever that Dracula needs to control. And they all have their own unique storylines that they really spend a lot of time with, which is a breath of fresh air in a series that you'd assume would only focus on Dracula and the heroes. But no, it really dives into these characters and sets everything up. And there is action like you wouldn't believe in this movie. There are some gruesome scenes in this TV show, where vampires are just ripping people to shreds and monsters are doing the same. And the heroes, likewise, getting some pretty bloody fights against these creatures, and it's just so good, guys. It's action-packed. It doesn't stop. The humor is unbelievable. It is so funny. The dialogue is so funny, especially between Alucard and Trevor Belmont, because they're basically... They don't like each other. They respect each other's needs to have to further each other's goals in taking out Dracula, but like they have some great chemistry because literally... You believe that they hate each other, but then also like each other at the same time. Like they enjoy giving each other shit, which is really cool, and the dialogue really reflects that. Dracula himself, you get a lot of lamenting and backstory, and it's really good. And like I said, it really drives home. You don't know, you get where Dracula's coming from. You want your heroes to prevail, but at the same time, you don't. So this show does a really good job of showing you both sides. And this show has one of the best anime fight scenes of all time. In episode 7, slight spoiler, Alucard and Dracula get into a fight scene that is freaking phenomenal. It is so good. It is literally what the template should be to design vampire fighting for any medium going forward in any independent property that they bring in. So... If Marvel is watching this Netflix series and they're trying to, reboot Blade or have a Blade series or have a Blade movie, watch this Castlevania series. This is how vampires need to move. This is how vampires need to fight. It's unbelievable. It's very reminiscent, both quickness and power-wise, of the Man of Steel Superman Zod fight in the final act of that movie. It's brutal and quick, and it's just amazing. And I really have to drive home how good this anime series is. It's probably my favorite animated series that I've seen in the past 5 years. Easily 5 years. And it's definitely the best animated original that is on Netflix right now. It's a quick watch. The episodes are like 20 minutes long each. There's only 8 episodes in the second season, 4, maybe even 3. I think it might be 3. I think it's 4, though, in the first season. So at most, you're watching 12 or 11 episodes of this series. It's a quick watch. I cannot recommend it enough to you guys. Go out and watch it. I try not to do any spoilers here. I want to do a spoiler reaction video later, and I'll probably release it this weekend when I can really dive into each of the episodes and what my favorite parts were. But anyways, if you guys have seen it and you like the show, let me know in the comments. Let me know what your favorite Castlevania video game was. Like the video, subscribe to my channel, and we'll catch you next week.